Virtually all concrete placements require some type of form work to hold the concrete in place while it hardens. It is common practice for some concrete contractors to build forms needed for a specific project. This is known as job-built forming systems. Job-built forms are usually built out of wood and are, as their name indicates, built at the job site. Whether forming for flat work, such as slabs, or vertical work, such as columns or walls, job-built forms can be constructed to meet the needs of practically any concrete project. Start installing the form boards from one corner and then work away from the corner. While installing the forms, these workers use the batter board string lines to ensure that the forms are installed in correct alignment at the correct elevation. When the length of the form requires two boards to be butted end to end, a splice will need to be installed to make the forms more rigid at the butted area. To ensure that the forms are strong, the stakes are installed every 3 to 4 feet. It is common practice to drive or hammer the stakes slightly below the top of the form and then nail them in place. Doing this will ensure a smooth top of the form area for pulling the screed rod over when placing the concrete. Once the forms are set, you need to fine-tune the subgrade by filling in any holes and removing any high spots. An easy method for fine-tuning subgrade is to stretch a string across the top of the form in various areas and measuring from the string down to the subgrade. The string will indicate any high or low spots that will need to be corrected. Another method to ensure the correct elevation of grade is the use of a laser level. This unit is used with a grade rod which contains a laser sensor attachment capable of accurately measuring the correct elevation. If the project blueprints call for a moisture barrier, this would be the time to install it. An example of a moisture barrier is placing a layer of polyethylene sheeting over the grade material within the form. On large slabs, screed guides may have to be placed within the slab. A common material used for this would include expansion joint materials. In some cases, the screed guide will double as an expansion joint. This is also the time to install your expansion joint material, if it is called for on the print. The forms and expansion joints must be built at the correct elevation and to the correct dimensions. Otherwise, it could lead to a very costly mistake. If placed in the proper position, it gives the finished concrete a more uniform appearance. An expansion joint material allows the concrete to expand and contract in hot and/or cold environments, which reduces the chance of the concrete cracking or breaking in certain areas. Virtually all concrete placements will require some type of reinforcing material to be added in the mix or pre-placed within the form to add strength to the concrete and reduce the chance of the concrete cracking. These workers are installing the reinforcing steel for this slab. They are using 1/2-inch rebar. Other jobs may require different diameters of rebar, or maybe 6 by 6 by 10 gauge wire mesh. It is always a good practice to oil the inside of the form to ensure easy release and cleanup when stripping forms after concrete placement. Another good practice tip is to recheck everything. After all, we are dealing with concrete. When working on walls or columns, the job-built forms are usually constructed of plywood and 2x4s. A 2x4 frame is built, then sheeted with plywood. Once the forms are built, they are placed upright and anchored to the footing foundation. When forming a wall, after the first sides of the wall panels are placed and anchored down, snap ties are installed through the pre-drilled holes in the wall form panels. The snap ties hold the forms at the correct width. The snap ties are then sandwiched between two fabricated 2x4s called whalers that run horizontally across the side of the wall forms. And then they are pinned or locked in place, securing the whalers, and are ready to receive the other side of the wall forms. Once the other side is up and the ends or bulkheads are installed, the forms are ready to be braced with 2x4 kickers for stabilization. At this time, the forms should be rechecked for level, plumb, and stability, ensuring that they are ready for concrete placement. When the concrete is being placed and consolidated, it is important to inspect the form for leaks and structural integrity. After the concrete has been placed and the correct setup time has passed, the form stripping and cleaning process begins. When stripping forms, you have to take care not to damage them or the freshly placed concrete. Damaged forms and concrete take time and money to repair. Once the forms are stripped, they are cleaned before stacking and storing. The most common method for cleaning the debris off of the forms is by using scrapers and wire brushes. After the forms are clean and all the protruding nails have been pulled, the forms need to be stacked and stored until their next use. Banding the stacks of forms is a good practice if the forms are going to sit for long periods of time. This will keep them together and help prevent them from warping. The forms should be stored under a roof or covered with something that will protect them from the open environment. Always remember that building, stripping, cleaning, and moving of forms is usually very heavy and relatively dangerous work that requires employees to work smart, keep a straight back when lifting, look out for not only your safety, but also of your fellow workers, and always wear the required PPE needed for the job.